Right, so welcome everyone to the channel. We're going to be doing something different today. I'm going to be reacting to IGN's review of Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Now, I'm not saying I'm qualified to review games. I have played quite a few of the Budokai series and the old Dragon Ball games, and in Sparking Zero specifically, I played 35 hours. So hopefully I can give a decent opinion on what they say in this review, because IGN gave it a 7. I think it's at least an 8. Like at least an 8. Maybe even better than an 8. But let's see what happens.
You guys stay out of this. If I'm the one these guys want, then that's what they're gonna get.
As the first direct sequel to Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3 since its PlayStation 2 debut, there's something charming about Dragon Ball Sparking Zero's old-school design and presentation. It's tougher than Vegeta's chest plate and imbalanced in ways that are both annoying and lore accurate.
It's supposed to be
labyrinthian. Training tips are sparse and sometimes not very useful, but
it's
every
a whole
battle
training
is
mode
crafted with the sole purpose of putting the Dragon Ball Z fighting fantasy as it appears in the anime into our hands.
Okay.
Fast-paced, key-slinging, teleport-kicking, and magical hair dyeing is great fun, so long as you're patient with its gnarly learning curve. As a result, settling back into the
pace 20 years to learn the curve.
Brawler feels just as much like a labor of love as the effort to resurrect the series in the first place.
Oh no! Folks, should I maybe get the heck out of here?
Alright, let's see, bro. Let's see what you're saying. Let's see what you're saying. I'll give you a fair approach, man. Gokuism.
It's undeniable how great Sparking Zero's characters and environments look in still screenshots. Every character, no matter...
I've said this as well. So I like live stream the game almost daily at this point, but I've said like this game is brilliant for screenshot material. Like there's so many great screenshots you can take in this game. So many. Like it's just the characters look great. I know like a lot of the cutscenes that we want animated aren't animated to the full degree of animation that they can do, like in the Sparking episodes. But most of the screenshots are so good, and this doesn't get said enough, but I think the voice acting in this game is top tier. I don't know if they redid all the voice lines or something, or where they ripped them from. I just think the voice acting is really good. But let's see what this guy says.
No matter what era of Dragon Ball they're from, looks better than I remember.
They do look good.
In motion, things get a bit more dicey, with some cutscene animations in particular being awkwardly stiff. But at least the sound hits the mark.
Yeah.
If you want your little brat
So this isn't a lie. I'll agree with him here. Like, a lot of the story elements are a bit slideshowy. Like, there's great screenshots, but when they're animated, a lot can be left to be desired. But that goes out the window, though, when the Sparking episodes, like, come on. When the Sparking episodes come on and they've animated everything, the Vegeta Sparking episode, Goku killing Frieza on Earth Sparking episode, Goku Black Sparking episode, like, they're all animated, they're all voiced, and they all look brilliant. And the game can do animation. It's just... all the stuff we've seen before, they've not animated it, which is fine because there's a billion other ways to actually view that material. The stuff we haven't seen before, they've animated, and they've animated well.
Turn safely, Kakarot. Prove your Saiyan spirit.
The raucous blast of key explosions and booming whooshes of Z fighters flying at high speeds are ripped straight off the screens of old TV episodes.
Yeah, that's what we want, though. You want to feel like a Dragon Ball character.
The iconic voices of the various series are recreated pitch perfectly by their original voice actors too, which is an important detail to get right.
So they've recreated the voice. Is that true?
Trunks, and even you, Kakarot.
They all sound very good.
For my inner child was the truly immense roster. 180 plus fighters pulled from every nook and cranny of the series.
It's very good, very good.
Many of these characters are repeated in some fashion.
Whoa. What do you mean repeated? Like the base form Gokus? They're different iterations of Goku, though. They have different moves. Carry on.
Are 19 versions of Goku for you.
Nah. Cap. Why does everyone say this? All their moves change. Like, all their moves change. They get different super moves. They get different, like, ki blasts. Like, their moves change. And it's a fucking Dragon Ball game. Like, if you're not going to have, like, a shit ton of forms of Goku, like, who you can have is the main character. And there's so many different iterations of him. But carry on.
Example. But they all aren't simply reskins. They can have different special techniques and transformation trees. Meaning base level Goku from the Saiyan invasion days has a different set of moves and a much lower upside than Buu Saigo or Super Era Goku.
Yeah.
Who can transform into various Technicolor versions of Super Saiyan.
Yeah.
These abilities can't be changed, but I could modify each warrior with ability items that boost things like attack power and health though I barely noticed any benefit at all when doing so.
I've never done that. I didn't even know that was a mechanic in the game. I didn't even know you could do this. I thought these ability items were just for ranked play. I don't even know if they are or not. I've never used any single one of these in any of my sparking games. I played for 35 hours. I've not played any ranked currently because I just want to enjoy the game and not be sweaty about it. But I have done some online battles. The 35 hours I played are a mixture of story mode, online battles that just aren't ranked. And I've had a great time. I didn't even know you could do this ability item thing, so teaching me some stuff, IGN.
Attack power and health, though I barely noticed any benefit at all when doing so. The controls are universal for all characters, but some on the roster interact with the standard system slightly differently than others, which is an appreciated layer of nuance. Android characters can't actively regain ki in order to launch
just like the older
attacks,
games, yeah.
while gigantic characters like Janemba can't be grabbed. Sparking Zero makes no attempt to balance these differences either. Every time I was forced to fight a character that was canonically stronger than mine in the manga or anime, they were just as oppressive in-game as I'd expect. I didn't always like it, but I respect the commitment.
Let me see.
What do you mean? Let me replay that.
He's stronger than mine and the mangas either. Every time I was forced to fight a character that was canonically stronger than mine in the manga.
But they don't. I don't think that's true, man. A lot of people have said like Great 8 Vegeta was hard. I did it first try, bro. First try. And I've not played a Budokai Tenkaichi game for a very long time. All I did in that fight was I guarded when the opponent was attacking, because you can still guard. Like everything. All his ki blasts and stuff don't get through to you. And then I was just playing square and triangle at different intervals. And I beat Great 8 Vegeta first time. Like, you can watch it on my live stream. It wasn't difficult at all. Yeah, in the canon material, Great 8 Vegeta was stronger than Goku. But I've not experienced that in the game. Like, Great 8 Vegeta was easy for me to kill. I didn't die once, so I don't know what this guy's talking about. I don't know what half the people on the internet are talking about when they say Great 8 Vegeta was hard. All the story mode fights aren't that hard. Maybe the hardest element in this game that I've faced from story mode is sometimes going for like the alternate timelines and getting them in a specific amount of time limit / objective. I think it's like sub 2 minutes you have to kill the enemy or enemies in. The one I struggled with like the most was probably Goku Black and Zamasu, where you have to destroy them with Trunks really, really, really fast. That's probably what I struggled with most in story mode. And I wasn't even winning, it's just that I couldn't get them in the 2 minute time limit. And the same could be said for when I was fighting Zamasu and Goku Black with the Super Saiyan Blue Goku in his storyline. You just got to kill him very fast. That's the only time I've ever actually struggled in this game to actually get some of the alternate objectives. That's the only time. But let's carry on, IGN.
Manga or anime, they were just as oppressive in-game as I'd expect.
I disagree.
I didn't
with
always
that.
like it, but I respect the commitment.
Let me see what you got.
That's cool.
Unfortunately, the bar to execute the various techniques of its diverse cast is very high and extremely frustrating. Inputs are simple overall, but
Alright, I'll put a pin in it.
early on, I often felt lost when combat picked up the pace. Part of that is admittedly on me. The last entry of the series I played with fervor, but that was right after Barack Obama was elected. The fast pace of Sparking Zero compared to Tenkaichi 3, mixed with the lax tutorial system, threw my 17 years older reaction speed out of the ring with ease.
Why? How old were you 17 years ago, Michael? This is another comment that I don't get, bro. This game is old. Like that Sparking series, Budokai Tenkaichi, is old. 17 years ago was the last iteration. So I'm not saying that people should have had time to play that game, but the game hasn't evolved. Like, it doesn't feel like a completely different game. When I picked Sparking Zero up, I could feel like the nostalgia coming back to me, the controls coming back to me. Like, it feels very similar. You know, like when you can press X and square and they dodge and kick the opponent. Like, that felt very similar to me. The R1 to vanish, that felt similar to me. The ki blast, the power up, the ki, like, all that felt similar to me. And I've heard that the old Tenkaichi series got really good praise for having, like, a great controller scheme. And I was playing that shit when I was, 17 years ago? I'm 30 now, so with some math, I was 13 years old when Budokai Tenkaichi 3 came out. I was 13 years old. I'm fairly certain I played that game. But it's hard to remember because there's been so many Dragon Ball games that I played. But I'm fairly certain I played it. I didn't struggle as a 13-year-old me to get these controls down, bro. We were, I could finish the story mode, I could get whatever was in Tenkaichi 3 that I needed to get, like, on the hardest difficulty at 13 years old. So I have not understood any of the complaints about this game being too difficult. Like, I honestly don't know where they're coming from. Maybe I'm God's gift to gaming, but I don't know what to say. I honestly don't know what to say here, because I feel like the control, the mapping, the reaction times, yeah, there was a learning curve, but that learning curve, like, evolves in, like, a couple of hours. I don't know what this guy was doing. Like, it's... you need to go back to training, my guy. You need to go back to training.
I spent a lot of time traveling back and forth between regular fights and the training mode to check and double check my understanding of when and how to use these techniques, as well as in the settings to adjust my button schemes and accessibility toggles. But really the only effective teacher was 25 brutal hours of getting kicked around.
Yeah,
Also, compared
that's how you
to
play the game.
modern-day fighting games, Sparking Zero's training options are rudimentary at best. There's no expectation to lay out frame data and hitboxes in a less competitively focused game like this, but targeted drills or a more nuanced customization of CPU behaviors would go a long way to help beginners and returning players fly up to the high skill floor.
I have not found a problem with the training mode. I thought the training mode was substantiative enough for me to understand what to do in games moving forward. What do you mean, bro? Like, learn the game by playing the game. Like, literally, like, that's what you do. If it's too fast for you, if the characters are moving too fast, learn their moves. Like, what are the characters doing that's hooking you up? I think this game is slower than Fighters. Like, in Fighters, I had a hard time keeping up with that game. Like, the combos, the movement, the switching the sides and stuff. Fighters is a hard game to master. Not Sparking Zero. Come on.
As you do damage and gain energy, a meter will charge that grants a skill point every time it fills. There's a handful of ways to spend these points, the most common being on unique skills each brawler has, like this, and this one. But points also need to be spent carefully on transformations and the new revenge counter system, which works a lot like combo breakers from Killer Instinct. The timing on your defensive options is razor thin and can be a real bear to learn, but these can be life-saving. And like Ki, which is also used for a variety of offensive and defensive maneuvers, the resource management decisions you have to make on a moment-to-moment.
Do I agree with that? Like, yeah, I do watch the Sparking, like, key meter, but usually it's never really a problem for me. Like, that meter usually always has, like, leftover bars. Like, this guy right now, he's got 6 fucking Freezer forms left to use, like, special abilities and stuff. He's, like, maxed out. Like, he's not even using them. You've just flung Piccolo away. Now would be the time to, I don't know, Wild Sense or whatever Frieza has in his, like, repertoire. Like, you could literally bash those out.
Faces really add a welcome bit of strategy to an otherwise frantic fight. There is definitely an old school approach to a lot of the progression systems and menus of Sparking Zero. You can grind achievements which get you rewards like characters, costumes, and in-game currency at a healthy rate. There are microtransactions like a $35 season
Did
pass
not know that was a
covering
thing.
3 packs of characters and 2 $15 music packs. But
Is microtransactions used for DLC now? Bro, I'm old. I didn't know that was a thing. I wouldn't consider that a microtransaction. That's just downloadable content, but okay.
I didn't see any option to buy them without leaving the game and going to the storefront directly, a rarity in 2024. Similarly, so many of the menus are a hassle to navigate. For example, you can customize characters' abilities and costumes to be used in all modes, but those modes don't have paths to the
I'll agree with this point. I think the older series had this better. Like, when you're picking a character, you can just switch the costume that they want to be in. But I feel like they did this is because you got a 60-second time limit to pick your characters, and they just wanted you to be quick in picking the characters, so you could set this up beforehand. But I do agree where he's coming from here. Like, I wish you could just switch the character's costume when I'm picking them. Like, that would be my ideal world, like they had in the older series. But let's carry on.
Customized screen within them, so you have to exit one completely and go the long way to make adjustments. This was barely acceptable in 2005, and we certainly don't have to live like this in 2024.
That's probably why I've not seen these ability things that you can
Flagship
add in.
single-player mode is called Episode Battles, which is a truncated retelling of the biggest Dragon Ball stories from various characters' perspectives.
Yeah.
Just about every Dragon Ball game has done this in some form or fashion, but this rather exhaustive version does a good job at keeping the time between battles short and prioritizing the important moments versus making you play every single skirmish as Tenkaichi 3 did. The standout feature this time around...
I've heard a mix on that. Like, some people want more fights, like a dedicated story mode with all the fights that the series ever had. And then there's like other people like me who don't mind this style, and they save like the good moments for the what if episodes. Like that's what really appeals to me, like the what ifs. I've experienced the Dragon Ball story for many years. I probably know it off by heart at this point. Like, I know exactly what happens in the series. So I don't really need to experience it once again. And if I did, I could play Kakarot, which has done a way better job of explaining that story. But the what-ifs in this game are some of the best, like, Dragon Ball content I've had in a long time. It's like the anime coming back with just, like, you playing it. It's just so good.
Around, though, is that certain events can actually be cleverly changed for sometimes dramatic new outcomes.
Yeah.
That could involve making a choice during a cutscene or ending a battle in a specific way.
This is really good.
This
is a lot of plus points in my
book.
book.
But not all of these side attractions are created equal, with only a few I've seen being truly jaw-dropping or substantial, like teaming up with Piccolo to kill Cell early.
Oh, this one. You thought this one was jaw-dropping? Bro! At this point in the game, you would have gotten the Frieza coming to Earth one. And I thought that was quite jaw-dropping. That was like my first experience with like alternate sagas. But you didn't think that was jaw-dropping. You thought this one was jaw-dropping where like nothing happened. Interesting. There's a whole like alternate Goku timeline where Goku doesn't die when they're fighting against Raditz. Because he doesn't die, he doesn't learn Kaioken, he doesn't learn Spirit Bomb. Vegeta comes, and the Z fighters have to work together to kick Vegeta's ass. Yamcha doesn't die at all. Yamcha like lives through like all of this, which I found amazing. I thought all of that was good. Then Frieza comes to Earth, and Goku kills Frieza with the Spirit Bomb. Like, that's the ending. He doesn't get Super Saiyan. That was all like a what if saga that I thought was quite good, and it was quite extensive as well. But you chose the Piccolo joining you whilst fighting Cell one. I don't know, Michael. I don't know. And there are quite a lot of good what ifs. Like that was just one good what if. Gohan had some good ones. Like, I've just played Gohan today, and Gohan had the what if saga of Gohan Black. Spoilers. Vegeta had Father Son Final Flash with Trunks. That was really cool. I really enjoyed that one. Goku Black had some. Goku Black like wins and like destroys Goku Super Saiyan Blue. Like, there's some really good what ifs. But let's carry on.
Episode battles can be very difficult, since powerful characters can become all but immune to your normal attacks, and will always have the perfect...
I've already mentioned this. Nah,
making
it's
it
not
tough
true.
to experiment and find these largely hidden special conditions when the pressure is on.
No. I think the story mode is actually easy, and I'm not just saying that. Like, sparking Zero is not as hard as Fighters, bro. Like, Fighters was much harder, and the Fighters was primarily an online game. The story mode in this, or the offline game modes in this game, I think are pretty well balanced to get you, like, ready for online. Because online shit is happening that you have got to, like, adjust to. Whereas in story mode, the CPU kind of behaves the same way all the time. Like, literally in story mode, this is how you win in story mode. You delay the battle until you get like 1 meter of like the key. Then you go sparking mode. You power your key to maximum. You spam square. 30, maybe 40% of the time, the character will either block or vanish out of your like spamming square strikes. At that point, you vanish, launch them, and then you repeat the process again until your sparking meter fades away. And then when it's like at the last bit, you spam the ultimate attack. That's the strategy I've been using for story mode. Now, that wouldn't work in online because there's a lot more back and forth. The guy will block you a lot earlier. The guy will vanish a lot earlier. The guy will use key blast to throw you off. There's just a lot more going on in online. But I feel like the core gameplay from story mode just gets you like salivated enough to go online. And if they like made it easier, bro, you wouldn't stand a chance online. Like, some of the stuff that people are doing online is crazy. Like, constantly vanishing, constantly blocking, constantly predicting your moves. Like, they just know. Like, people, the players are what makes this game insane.
You can lower the difficulty on a fight-by-fight basis in order to progress.
I've never needed to do that. I've done that by accident a lot of times.
Must be completed
but
at least the
I've never
standard
needed to do that,
difficulty, making finding them very much an endgame activity. But I did appreciate the effort to spice up the stories that have been rehashed ad nauseam.
Okay, give it a plus point at least.
What the?
There are also custom battles, which exist somewhere between Mario Maker and the Universe mode in a WWE game.
I like
Using
that.
a toolbox full of special modifiers that limit what characters can and can't do in a given scenario, as well as some triggers that help program particular outcomes after conditions are met. These battles can potentially resemble more of a puzzle than just mashing digital action figures together in dream situations. There's a shoddy system for putting together dialogue so that some sort of narrative can be added to them, but the best it can do is loosely set up make-believe stakes.
So I've not messed around with this mode a lot. I have done some of the custom battles, and I quite liked some of them. Like there was one with Future Gohan where he doesn't die and he like becomes Super Saiyan 2. Now there isn't actually a Super Saiyan 2 Future Gohan in the game, but he just, powered him up as Super Saiyan, and you're meant to like interpret that as Super Saiyan 2. There was one with Chaozu that was quite fun that you might have seen, where like Chaozu's like super OP, kills everyone. UI Goku, God Vegeta, like he just kills like the whole Z cast, and Chaozu one shots him. So he's custom made it. There's one with Vegeta and Gogeta where they go at each other to see who's the ultimate form of fusion. Like there's a lot of stuff that can be done with this, and as time goes on, I feel like people will realize how to use the system better to get some really good custom scenarios. I think this is a great addition to the game. I don't think it's like a puzzle though, so honestly you just play the game normally and the conditions usually are met in my eyes. But this guy's overcomplicating the game when it's not needing to be that overcomplicated, bro. It's a simple game. It's a simple game.
I had no plans to write my own entire Dragon Ball arc, but I'm not sure the tool's up to the task even if I wanted to. There are quite a few custom battles made by developer Spike Chunsoft baked in, and they don't really stretch the imagination that much. A few of them present interesting scenarios and specific parameters for victory, like seeing Kid Goku spar with Master Roshi, who can only be beaten by the Kamehameha.
See, that's cool. That's cool. I've not done that one, but that's cool.
But I haven't come across an aha creation that really shows me the potential of this mode.
Really?
Sparking Zero at least seems to break the Tenkaichi curse of truly abysmal online multiplayer by supplying some solid network play. When wired up, I found minimal latency and lag issues on livelier servers, or at least not enough to blame it for me dropping a combo or missing a parry.
I've had probably one match that was disgusting. Like, just absolutely atrocious. One match, and I played for 35 hours. It's not all online play, but a good chunk of that is online play. And I had one match, just one match, that I was so disgusted with that I turned the game off. And it was because of the latency. And I was like pressing stuff, and it was literally like a 2-second delay before my character did anything. That's the only bad experience I've had. The rest of it has been pretty darn smooth. Like, very smooth. So I'll agree with that. The netcode is good.
There is a local split screen option for people who want to duke it out in person, but it's disappointingly limited to just one stage.
Hyperbolic time chamber.
Void of the hyperbolic time chamber. Even still, playing Sparking Zero with real people that you can hit with a dramatic one-liner or a guttural power-up scream is still the best way to do it by far.
So you don't have a problem using your meter there, my guy. You threw hit, and now you're powering up to Super Saiyan. That's how you play the game. You gain some distance, then you do what you want. You want to charge, you can charge. You want to power up, you can power up. You want to use a finish sign or ultra movement or whatever your ability is, you can do that.
Kept you waiting, huh?
Alright, what's the verdict? I already know.
Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is a final flash from the past, sometimes to a fault, as demonstrated by its archaic menus and remedial training tools. Its episode battles have the kind of reaction-heavy difficulty that doesn't really exist in most games these days.
Did you play Fighters, my guy? Did you play Fighters? Has anyone played Fighters before this game? Like, have you all been living under rocks?
More than once crossing the line between challenging and frustrating. But the feeling of traveling back to a simpler time when games didn't have to be balanced or competitive to be fun is a good one. Especially when that action stays so true to that of the show it's recreating. Reliving a story that was foundational to my youth, looking and sounding as great as I remember it, with the opportunity to alter it in sometimes dramatic new ways is clever, and the addition of tools to attempt to create your own stories could elevate the experiment even further if the community can figure out how to make the most of it. For more, check out our reviews of
A 7, bro. Nah, it's at least an 8. It's at least an 8. The game, my finishing thoughts on this video. I don't want to like raw dog on Michael too much, but the game is good, bro. The game is simple. People need to go back and play Fighters, bro, because that game is way more frustrating than any other Dragon Ball game I've ever played. Fighters is hard. Fighters is very hard to master. You go online in Fighters, dead. Like, it's so hard, I don't want to play Fighters because it's that hard. Some of the points that Michael touched on, like, I agree. Like, the what if is good. Some of the what ifs he showed were bad though. Like, there's definitely way better what ifs. I don't know if he was just trying to keep it spoiler free. There was one like screenshot where he was doing the Goku Black what ifs, but you hadn't unlocked him. So you gotta. They aren't endgame stuffs either. I've had many a time in this game, especially recently when I've learned how to play. I was doing Gohan today, and I got the alternate timeline first go around. I thought you couldn't get the alternate objective first go around, but you totally can. If you meet the conditions first time around, the game will branch off into an alternate timeline path, and you will just do the alternate timeline instead of the main storyline. And that's happened a few times to me now. Like, you just have to understand how the game works. I don't know why people say this game is hard. I think Fighters is a much harder and much frustrating game to learn and master. Fighters, if you go online in Fighters, it's not the same if you go online in Sparking Zero. Like, I can go online in Sparking Zero, pick Hercule, pick, like, some trash Chaozu character, and I can still have, like, a decent enough game where I can put up a fight. I couldn't say that about Sparking Zero. I could be UI Goku in Sparking Zero and I'd still die to everyone. I could die to... Who's a rubbish character? Krillin. Krillin's in Sparking Zero, right? And Yamcha's in Sparking Zero. I could die to both of them because it's so heavily based on skill. Like, it's a proper 2D fighting game. Sorry, not Sparking Zero. Fighters. Fighters is a proper 2D game where you have to be, you know, it's much more akin to like Tekken than it is to any other fighting game. But Fighters is much more frustrating than I think Sparking Zero. Let me just see, out of interest, what you gave Fighters IGN. That'll probably be a great, right? Yeah, review. Who did it? Was it Michael again? I hope it's Michael.
Let's see if you're stronger than
Who reviewed
fighting
this?
game developers
Jurassic
in the business.
Rabbit. Jurassic Rabbit was in the online match that you were playing against in the last video. So what was the verdict? 8.5.
As a Super Saiyan.
Let's just read the
Satisfying,
conclusions.
easy controls can open the door to some spammy between the accessible auto combos, homing attacks, and simplified.
The auto combos are not accessible. Like, yeah, you can spam square in this game, but you'll get punished if you do that online.
Command inputs. Dragon Ball Fighters is an inviting gateway.
Like, you see what he just did there?
Attacks and simplified command input.
I struggled with doing this little keychain so much in Fighters. Like, you have to press like up and right on the D-pad at the same time to like jump, cancel like out of your strike. Like, I had to do that. It took me so much practice to try and get that down.
Dragon Ball Fighters is an inviting gateway into the world of fighting games.
And then when he just finished him off with that, like, if I remember, you have to press down, right, triangle or some shit to like execute Cell's like elbow move that he just did. Like, this was hard. This was hard to do
For newcomers, whether you're a Dragon Ball fan or not. Those easy controls can open the door to some spammy behavior, but just as often, it's satisfying in a way that
Fighters does
right
look
by
good,
the
though.
Dragon Ball name.
It's got a good art
Dragon
style.
Ball Fighters has enough depth and
You give that an 8.5, huh? But you give Sparking Zero a 7. Jurassic Rabbit, you were in this video as well. Like, don't you think this is blasphemy? Where are you, Jurassic Rabbit?
person.
There he is, Jurassic Rabbit. I knew you were real, bro. I knew you were in this video. You must be disgusted what he's just done. I don't know. I think the score's a bit low. I'll just leave it at that. I think the score's a bit low.